You know, Steelers Nation, when it comes to this time of year, I can't stand it because we have no football. We have no news. We have hardly anything to talk about. It's just a boring time of the year.
It really is, but now that's over because in 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, Steelers football is back with the training camp in Latrobe coming right around the corner, man. July 25th is when players and Steelers can finally get back to business. And when it comes to that certain time, one of the most exciting factors of training camp and of Steelers football is what are the rookies going to do? What are they going to bring to the table? What impact can they add to the Steelers, man? And that's what today's video is going to be about. The 83rd episode of the Steelers Culture Podcast. Which rookie from the Steelers' great 2024 Steelers draft class is going to have the biggest impact for the 2024 season, man? And a lot of these guys can have an immediate impact, man. A lot of these guys could be day one starters. In fact, I'm looking at probably like 3 or 4 of them as day one starters, man. It's insane. But which one of these guys will have the biggest impact? We're going to start all the way, obviously, down from the first round pick down all the way to the 6th round pick, right? Obviously, man, the Steelers drafted Troy Fautanu with the 20th overall pick. He is going to be the Steelers' future at right tackle. That was confirmed by Omar Khan. He did state that Fautanu will play at right tackle. How immediate that will be, time will tell. That is what training camp and preseason is for.
Yes, sir.
So he is going to be, I don't know if he's going to be battling against like a Dan Moore or a Broderick Jones for right tackle. They're going to see where he's comfortable, how well along he's coming, and just how quick he's making the transition into the NFL, man. So I don't know who he's going to be battling against. I don't know if there even will be a battle. But if I had to give you a guess, I'd imagine it's going to be Fautanu versus Broderick Jones because Broderick Jones was the right tackle last year after Chucks got benched. So why would they put Broderick over at left and then Dan Moore at right and have Troy Fautanu versus Dan Moore as a starting right tackle group? I don't know if the Steelers want to go that route because if Fautanu is not ready at right tackle in the Steelers' eyes, they could very well still lean on Broderick Jones, being that he started most of his rookie season in that position, while unfortunately still relying on Dan Moore at left tackle.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that Dan Moore lacks experience and playing time at right tackle.
Right.
So I don't know what the deal is right there. You know, Omar Khan just could have the mindset of like, listen, we drafted Broderick to be a left tackle. He's going to play left tackle here, and we have the trust in Fautanu and with his flexibility and his versatility to move over to right tackle, and that'd be the duo right there.
Right. It's also one of the cases that the Steelers don't want to rush their rookies, which is why, for some reason, Broderick Jones didn't start until midseason last year.
Although they traded up for him.
Right.
But at the same time, when it comes to Fautanu, the Steelers had Fautanu as their second-ranked tackle on their draft board just after Joe Alt, who went to the Chargers.
And he fell all the way to 20. And
when he was supposed to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, that was what we thought. And that was due to some injury concerns, which Fautanu already just debunked. He said his knee's fine. He hasn't had knee issues since, I think he said high school. It's been a while. And Fautanu is healthy. He obviously has that position versatility. As we know, he protected the non-blind side of Michael Penix, who was a left-handed quarterback. So the transition over to right tackle won't be as crazy as it would be for like a Broderick Jones, where Broderick Jones is already confirmed he's more comfortable at left, and Omar Khan has stated before he even drafted Fautanu, he's going to be a left tackle eventually.
Yeah.
Well, here you go. You got Fautanu, who could move over to right. You have Broderick Jones, who could go back to his comfortable position at left, and you guys got your franchise tackles, man. Our tackle position isn't a worry for years now.
Yeah, it's like the cards that they were dealt with on the table. It just worked in their favor.
It fell perfectly into their laps. How immediate is his impact? How immediate will he play? Will he be a starter? That is to be determined. Again, Steelers don't like to rush their rookies, especially at the tackle position. With Dan Moore, they had to. Broderick Jones, they for some reason kept him on the bench too long. But with this situation, man, they drafted. This is, I think, the first time in franchise history they drafted tackles in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
So if they're doing that, and they're drafting some of the top at their positions in their own respective draft classes, you got to start them. That's what I would do.
As you should. I mean, you got a new quarterback group coming into this year. You got 2 fantastic running backs. You're rebuilding the offensive line. You used 2 first-round selections back-to-back years to fix that line, considering after the Goon Squad left, they all retired. They all went to free agency, traded, whatever happened. I mean, the line was terrible.
It was rough. Now, hopefully those days are behind us. But, yeah, with Fautanu, yeah, I think if I had to give you a guess, I think he will be the day one starting right tackle, and then Broderick can move over to left. Because why would you start Dan Moore over Broderick? Why would you start Dan Moore over Fautanu if Fautanu is ready? And we know Broderick can play left tackle because he did it versus the Ravens in Week 4 last year and was easily our best tackle all season at both positions.
He was flawless at left tackle against Baltimore. Nobody could get past him.
No, so like it's a no-brainer decision. And no disrespect to Dan Moore, you know, I admire his leadership, I admire his work ethic, and I admire the fact that he's been a starter the last 3-4 years. You know, it's one of those things where he may not have been the best at that position. He may have been admirable, average. You know, he might have gotten the job done. But clearly, they drafted 2 tackles for a reason.
Yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what the deal is with Broderick and Fautanu for the future. And Dan Moore's obviously the odd man out. He's obviously going to be the bench guy, you know, whenever Fautanu does get into the starting job. And Dan Moore, you know, he understands what's happening, and he's taking it professionally, and you got to admire that.
I do.
Good on Dan Moore to take these guys under their wing, teach him what he's learned in the NFL already from his experience, from his starting capabilities and stuff like that.
His knowledge in the system.
He's taking that, and he's giving it to the rookies. He's like, whatever it takes to help this team win.
Absolutely. And, yeah, you got to admire that from Dan Moore. But, you know, these are upgrades. So I think Fautanu could be the day one starting right tackle, because I do think that is the future plan there. How big is his impact? I think we have yet to see it. You know, what he can do in the NFL, obviously. You know, that's not until preseason and training camp. But seeing how he was to the Steelers, the number 2 rated tackle out of all the tackles in a stacked tackle class, and then, you know, you add in the fact that we had Chuck starting the last couple of years, you know, he is an upgrade. He has to be an upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
So how big is his impact? I think it's going to be significant, especially moving Broderick back over to the left. I think that is going to be major for the offensive line. I think that's going to be major for the offense. I think that's going to be major for Russell Wilson and or Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That's going to be crucial to this offense and to the offensive line.
Based off where he was originally projected leading up to draft time and him falling all the way to 20, and just his mentality, his tenacity as an offensive lineman, he flat out said, you got to play O-line violently.
Yes.
And he's told Pat Meyer, he's had communications and talks with our offensive line coach, Pat Meyer. And Meyer's admitted that, you know, he feels that Fautanu is moving over to right tackle. It's very comfortable for Fautanu. He feels that Fautanu is more comfortable at right than left.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Exactly. So, I mean, with Fautanu moving over to right, yeah, I think it's going to have a significant impact. Same thing with our second-round pick, the 51st pick with Zach Frazier, which this was the biggest no-brainer of the draft for the Steelers once he was still available there. At center, he's an upgrade. I mean, anyone's an upgrade over Mason Cole. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, the snap issues, the inconsistent play, the poor protection, any situation we had at center since Patsy left was not good. There were a few games where Mason Cole held his own, but last year was just rough.
Zach Frazier, I mean, pure center that you could look at.
Yes, especially with obviously his wrestling background, the years of experience he's had at West Virginia, and the mauler he is, especially in the run blocking, which clearly that's still going to be the Steelers' bread and butter. So, Zach Frazier, yeah, if you talk rookies that are going to have the biggest impact, I think Zach Frazier's right up there, because the center position, as us Steelers fans know, is incredibly crucial. And him being the new center and being the long-term solution, ideally, I think that's going to have a massive play, along with Fautanu being moved over to right and moving Broderick back over to left. I think that's going to be crazy, especially since you have your guard solidified. So having a center in there, having the core piece locked down with an absolute upgrade over Mason Cole, yeah, he's going to have a massive impact.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. Will he have the biggest impact? Quietly, I do believe so. Quietly. And the reason I say quietly is because offensive linemen are the silent killers of the offense. They're the ones that allow everything to happen. They're the ones that allow everything to mold itself, where we can get the plays to form and to just happen. You know?
They allow the plays to develop. They allow the players to make those plays execute on that football field. Without a line, I mean, you're not doing that.
They allow the art to occur, to become reality for the offense. So, yes, quietly, I think Frazier could have the biggest impact because the center position is incredibly crucial. And, yeah, that's going to be an upgrade, especially with, like we said, you know, his background, his experience, and what he's going to bring to the table, and just his scheme fit for the offense.
Yeah, and his mentality just as much. Like, he knows that, you know, he's coming in here, he's going to be the guy at center, you know. I mean, he's the most pure center we have on the team. I do anticipate him starting there, though he should earn that role. He should not be gifted it like Kendrick Green did. When we drafted him, he should earn that role. I think he will because he's the type of player, he's the type of guy that's going to bust his ass out there on the practice field, on that football field, and earn everything that he's going to want. And he wants to be one of the top centers in the NFL. He knows the legacy and the lineage of Steelers centers.
Yes. Hall of Famers, man. Hall of Famers. As we know, I don't have to go down the list, but he's also, as he was coming out of the draft, the most pure center. So now he's the most pure center that we've had in a long time, since Pouncey.
Yeah, and he's going to want to be a part of that tradition.
Yes, so Zach Frazier, quietly, I do think will have the biggest impact. But if, in my honest opinion, I don't know, this could differ from yours, but in my honest opinion, the player, the rookie that will have the biggest impact is our third-round selection. Well, the first one, Roman Wilson.
Yeah, the first Wilson.
Yeah, the first Wilson. Roman Wilson.
Or technically, Russ was the first Wilson. Technically,
well, Roman Wilson. I think he's going to have the biggest impact out of all the rookies because wide receiver 2 is still a need. I know there are hopes, there are still admirations, there is still rumors, and there's a great chance that we could still trade for a wide receiver. Ayuk. Just saying. Could be someone different, but just saying.
There will still be talks happening throughout training camp, preseason, regular season, up until the trade deadline if the Steelers, you know, don't make the trade. Though I've said several times, the guys that they brought in, that they picked up in free agency and selected in the draft, they will give these guys the opportunity.
I think they should.
And they will see what they got in store. They will see what they are capable of, if they are the guys to go with. And if they are not, then, you know, Omar Khan will speed dial somebody up and say, hey, you know.
Remember those trade talks we had?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about we just make a deal right now? You know, but that's not going to be without giving a guy like Van Jefferson or Calvin Austin or especially a Roman Wilson a chance to be the wide receiver too. And I do think Roman Wilson could be that guy because the position's wide open. He's coming in from a winning school, a winning mentality, and he has that Tyler Lockett feel, which, of course, we know Russell Wilson is very familiar with. He's just, he might not be the biggest guy, and he's projected to be mostly a slot weapon at the next level, but obviously in Arthur Smith's scheme, he doesn't run a lot of 11 personnel. He doesn't use a slot receiver quite often, so Roman Wilson might have to be pushed outside, which I think he can do. His route running is pristine. He has the speed. He has the attributes. He has the skill set to do it, right? With our wide receiver coach as well, Zach Hassani, you know, he's been giving him praise. He's been giving most of our wide receivers praise. You know, he's going to be working with him to be coaching him up, getting him better, getting him ready for this opportunity. And seeing his track record with the other teams, especially the Broncos, you know, it seems like these guys have someone that can coach him up perfectly for this opportunity.
Right.
So with Roman Wilson, I do believe he, out of everyone, will have the biggest impact because I do think he will have an immediate impact. I think he's the guy that can be the wide receiver too. His hands are strong. He's fast. He's twitchy. His route running is savvy.
Yeah.
He's a touchdown magnet.
Yeah, 12 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, and like you said, a very run-heavy offense with the...
So he's very familiar with the type of scheme. So the scheme fit for Roman Wilson is perfect when it comes to the Steelers. So he knows how to block when it comes to, you know, running the football and everything like that. You know, for his size, he's not the biggest, obviously, but he plays a lot bigger.
Dude,
not as far as physicality, but as far as getting the ball. You know, reaching up there, getting the ball when you feel like there's no way he can get up there. He's too small. He plays a lot bigger than the size. And he makes some of the craziest catches you could ever see for a guy of his stature.
He's a very physical wide receiver, which fits perfectly with the Steelers' history. I mean, you look at most of our wide receivers. We never drafted. We never had the biggest guys. We never had the tallest weapons. You know, not exactly the flashiest, right? But we had guys that were physical, that were playing bigger than what their size showed. We had guys that were able to put up stats and were able to create incredible plays for Steelers history.
Yeah.
The list is endless, right? But we had guys that could just do what we needed them to do, right? So I think that's what Roman Wilson will bring to the Steelers offense as well. I think he is going to fit nicely. I think he's going to be the one with the biggest impact out of all the rookies. You know, it's just, it lines up for him perfectly. You know, the role he could take, the opportunity he has, the type of player he is. And in year one, man, I think, you know, George Pickens is going to see a lot of attention, especially maybe a guy like Pat Frymuth as well, being potentially the 2 or 3. But that's going to, in year one, that's going to give Roman Wilson free range to create what he can create on the field.
Right.
So I think Roman Wilson could be one of those players that has the biggest impact. In my opinion, the biggest impact. Or could it be the other Wilson, Payton Wilson? Because this guy is getting a lot of hype, as he should, because he fell due to his injuries. He fell all the way down to 98, and the Steelers still got him with the pick they got from Philadelphia for you-know-who, and we got Payton Wilson out of it.
Yeah, we did.
Who, in my opinion, was the best linebacker in the entire draft class.
Yeah, and there were some solid names in that draft class, too.
Linebacker was pretty stacked.
But Payton Wilson is for sure the most athletic. He's for sure the fastest. You saw that at the Combine. He's got that linebacker build that you don't really see often in today's NFL. It's a very old-school linebacker build, but it's with today's athleticism. It's with today's speed. I mean, he's a guy that you want in today's NFL to have in a linebacker. And for him to have fallen that far because of injury concerns, this guy should have been a first-round pick. You look at the tape, you look at what he did at NC State. In the past 2 years at NC State, he was fully healthy. He had no problem with injuries. He never got hurt. He toughed it out, and he just made ridiculous amount of plays in pass coverage, in the pass rush, and the run defense.
Dude, the tape pops. When you watch Roman Wilson, dude, or Payton Wilson, all you see is the tape is explosive. You know, there's no shortage of film of Payton Wilson just making plays all over the field. His range, his speed, his coverage, his blitzing ability, you know, his physicality, everything he does is just so physical and intelligent. He has a high IQ, and like you said, he's been healthy the last 2 years at NC State. His knee is not bugging him. Now, I'm hoping he stays.
He has no ACL in one of his knees.
I know.
You can't tear what you don't have.
That's true. And it's incredible that he's making the plays he's making without an ACL, which might be a concern to other people, but Hines Ward didn't have an ACL, and he was one of the best wide receivers in Steelers history. Arguably the best. My favorite Steeler of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Payton Wilson, I really hope he can stay healthy. Because if he can, we have a stud. We have a dog linebacker. We have a potential day one starter. In fact, Terrell Austin even confirmed that Payton Wilson could be the starting dime backer in dime packages for the Steelers, which means he could be the only linebacker on the field. Not Patrick Queen, not Landon Roberts, not even Cole Holcomb if he's healthy. Patrick Queen's probably the number one starting linebacker right now. But in the dime package, Payton Wilson could be the sole linebacker in that formation. That's crazy.
That's due because of his athleticism. That's due because of his coverage ability.
Yes, 100%. Payton Wilson, again, we don't know how they're going to work him because linebacker's stacked, dude. Linebacker is crazy. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
On paper, my guy's the most stacked linebacker, inside linebacker group we've had in quite a long time.
Yeah, and Payton Wilson can do everything the Steelers ask him to do. So I don't know how quick they're going to incorporate him with the starting lineup or with the linebacking core, or how they're going to rotate him with a guy like Queen or a guy like Roberts. Roberts will probably come in as the run heavy, the run stopping defender, the run stuffer, the sub package pass rusher, right? Payton Wilson can do the same thing, but he has incredible coverage upside. So maybe him and Queen can work in that way where they bring in Roberts as the guy that's going to come in on short yard situations where they know Roberts is going to get the job done, right? So maybe they incorporate him there. Maybe they give him more playing time in that area as well. Maybe they want to test Payton Wilson to see if he can do what Roberts can do. So I don't know how they're going to incorporate him and how many snaps he's going to get. I'd imagine they're going to play the veterans over Payton Wilson just due to the experience, and they don't want to rush him, and they still want to figure out a proper way to incorporate him into Austin's defense. But the dime package way could be an easy transition for Payton Wilson to get onto the field and get his feet wet and kind of test him for the Steelers.
Yeah, and not only that, with the linebacker room, with how stacked it is, Terrell Austin, he's got many chess pieces in that group right there. Like, he could have a lot of fun with the type of athleticism and speed and tenacity he's got at that linebacker room. Like, he could really confuse opposing offenses a lot with the linebacker group.
Yes, he can.
I really do look forward to see what Terrell Austin does with these guys, how he uses these guys, how he schemes these guys up. Like, you can't mess this up. There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
No, he has no shortage of weapons in that room. So I don't know how they incorporate Payton Wilson. That's what training camp preseason is for. But I'd imagine, the Steelers are giving him a lot of praise. I mean, they had him ranked high on their draft boards, but clearly they had the other positions to draft ahead of linebacker. But when he was already still there with the pick they got from Philly, it was a no-brain selection for them. And Omar Khan said if it wasn't for their doctors, that they wouldn't have drafted him. If they didn't clear Payton Wilson, the Steelers wouldn't have drafted him. So the Steelers clearly trust his health, his medicals, and clearly his potential. So we'll see what his impact is. I can't give you a true guess on what his impact could be, but, I mean, time will tell. But I think Payton Wilson, I think he can be an absolute playmaker sooner than many people might expect.
Yeah.
So we'll see where the Steelers want to incorporate a skill set. But moving forward, man, Mason McCormick, we all know he was drafted to be extra depth for the offensive line as an extra guard, center hybrid piece, more so guard. They're incorporating him at right guard, which is interesting, seeing the update on James Daniels' contract.
Yeah, he's a pending free agent after this upcoming season. We already know the type of market for the guard position already is. I mean, it's over $20 million. I don't know if the Steelers are going to want to pay that much to keep a guy like James Daniels, though he's still young. He's very experienced at the position, and he's been our best offensive lineman since he's become a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Right, so maybe they're putting him at right guard to see where he could fit there because they're thinking of life after James Daniels, but that's clearly for 2025, right? So they're keeping Mason McCormick as the depth piece behind Sayamalu, behind James Daniels, behind probably Nate Herbig as well. They also drafted McCormick because maybe they can't extend James Daniels. Perhaps they can't even extend Nate Herbig next year.
Right.
So they're going to need that extra guy in that offensive line group. So he probably won't see a lot of playing time. He'll see time on special teams. So we'll see what his impact is. I'm looking forward to see what he can do in preseason mostly because that's where he's going to see the bulk of his playing time. Same thing with like a Logan Lee or Ryan Watts. These guys were people just to fill in extra bodies, extra depth pieces in their respective groups, which is a good thing because they're going to be getting opportunities. They're going to be getting chances to get future roles and to get playing time over other guys. So
Indeed.
Can't really say what their impact is, but we know they're going to see a lot more time on special teams. But especially a guy like McCormick, he might have a future with the Steelers past 2024, past his rookie season. Mm-hmm. But what he could show in his rookie season, in the limited time he'll get, will really tell the tale for his future.
Yeah, as far as his offensive line flexibility goes, for sure, because he primarily was a starting left guard in college. They're moving him over a right guard. Again, they're testing out his flexibility. They're not exactly putting him out of position. They're just trying to see exactly where he's more comfortable at in the NFL level, just trying to see and just trying to think of, the future for this guy when it comes to our guard position in general.
Yeah, and of course, McCormick said something similar to what Fautanu said, where they were cross-trained at their on the opposite side of their own positions, just to have that experience, have that versatility, have that insurance in case anything were to happen. So those two guys are kind of similar in being transitioned over to the opposite side where we'll see where they test out and see how they're comfortable and what their future could be at that position.
Right.
But in regards to all the rookies, if I had to give you my own opinion who will have the biggest impact of all the rookies, I've already said Roman Wilson. Quietly Zach Frazier, but statistically Roman Wilson. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. I think he can run with the wide receiver 2 gig. And if he can't, well, we got trade talks that Omar Khan can easily backtrack on.
Yeah, of course. If I had to pick, who could have the biggest impact, I'm going to say it's both our first 2 selections, and that's Fautanu and Frazier.
I like it because offensive line is incredibly important, as us Steelers fans know. I mean, just look at the past couple of years.
Yeah, and you and me for the past 2 years, we were pounding the table about fixing the offensive line, securing it, get young studs in there, just fulfill the offensive line so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to put it on the back burner like they were doing even back to the Kevin Colbert days. Like, Jesus Christ. Excuse my language, swear jar, I know. But, Like, offensive line is very key. Like you said, they're the silent killers on the offense that will allow the quarterback to get the ball to his receivers, to allow the plays to execute, to help with the run game, obviously. And that could lead, because of Fautanu and Frazier's potential impact, that could lead to Wilson also having just as much impact.
I agree.
It could result in that.
And with the first 2 selections, that fixes literally 3 positions on the offensive line. It fixes left tackle because Broderick can move back over to his comfortable position. You have a pure center, thankfully, and you have a future right tackle. And offensive line, they are the ones that are able to allow everything to happen.
Yeah.
They are the heat that allows the water to boil. If I had to give you an analogy. It's not a good one, but that's the best one I can come up with for lack of ideas. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below, man. Who do you guys think will have the biggest impact on all the rookies? Very excited to see these young guys get going, man. See these guys' first year, their future, the start of their careers in the black and gold. Just 2 weeks from now in training camp, we get to see these guys work and see how the Steelers are going to be able to fit these guys in and incorporate them for the future of the season. It's going to be exciting, man. Let us know your guys' thoughts down below. See you into the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!